I'm decluttering 35 years of accumulated stuff, what I'm keeping, what I'm donating, and the simple system that I'm using so this doesn't pile up again. And if you got a closet, garage, or a room that you've been avoiding, this will give you the exact momentum that you need. And those words didn't come from me. Those words came from Linda, who wrote in this week with her own 35-year project. And I love when you all write in and you share these tips. Thanks for writing in, Linda. So, Linda here, she's been thinking about downsizing for years. She's in her late 60s. The kids are grown. The house that she's been in and holding on to for 35 years, along with the stuff, she sent in 3 things that she already learned the hard way. And first, she said, don't think that you're just going to figure this out as you go. Have a plan. Hallelujah. Amen. I love it. Then number 2, don't let guilt pack your boxes. That heirloom that you'll never use, it's okay to let it go. And then third, don't expect everyone to agree with you. So spouse, kids, in-laws, they're not. Set boundaries and invite conversations, not debates. And I love that third one too, because we all have families and family members have opinions. What are those healthy boundaries so that a way you can move forward? Now, Linda, she also said something that stuck with me. Downsizing isn't living with nothing. It's living with only the things that matter to you today, not 20 years ago. Now, here's the thing about Linda's tips though. Every one of them is solid. They're real. They're lived in advice, not the kind that you read in a magazine, but there is one thing that her note did not include. And in my experience, it's the thing that decides all these great tips if they actually move the needle for you or just end up shuffling around the stuff in the house for another 2 years. So Linda told me what she's learned about the day to day whenever going through this system. She did not tell me when she's actually moving or whether she's moving at all. And those 2 answers, when and whether, change everything underneath. Because if you're moving in 6 months, the decluttering window is right now and it is tight. And if you're moving in 18 months, well, you've got a completely different sequence. And if you're not moving at all, or maybe it's years from down from now, the smartest thing to do this weekend might not be move a trash bag or to pack a trash bag. The day to day is downstream. The timeline, that is upstream, and almost nobody has theirs written down. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over 7 actions in order from where the stuff is today to the day that you hand over the keys. And some of this stuff is about the stuff itself. And some of it, it's about everything connected to the stuff that nobody actually talks about. And by the end, you're going to have a system and you're going to know exactly when to start each one of these steps. So with that, let's get into number 1. And this is the one that nobody wants to do, but this is the one that everything else hangs on. So put a date on the calendar. Not a precise date, it's your best guess date. 12 months out, 18 months out, going back to that 6 months out, next spring, whatever you can defend with the facts that you have today. Life changes and this date can change, but for what you know today, put that on the calendar. And this is why we do this. Without a date, every decision turns into someday. Someday I'll deal with the garage. Someday we'll sell the dining room set. And someday becomes never, time and time again. Or alternatively, it becomes panic in 6 weeks because the house sold faster than you thought. When she went through her downsize, the date wasn't really her choice. The circumstances picked her date. And the system that I'm using right now, it started with one question. When do I want to be done with this downsizing, right? Getting rid of the stuff. Not when's the move. When do I want to be done? Then I worked backwards from there. So set that date. Even if you change it later, that's okay. The blank space, not having that plan, that's what kills the system. Now, life transitions, they get complicated fast, and sometimes you just need the right professional or two and you're cornered in order to navigate it. If that sounds like where you are, perhaps overwhelmed, Link for resources, time on my calendar, it's in the description below. If we book a call, it is free for that initial call just to see where you are and how our services could potentially help you. And if you haven't already, subscribe. We put us out more life, wealth, and real estate content for people's lives transitions all the time, every week. Look forward to seeing you when the time is right. Now, point number 2, action number 2. Once you've got that date, reverse engineer the decluttering window from that. So not the other way around. And here's what most people do. They start to declutter. And at some point, usually when the chaos peaks, they go, okay, I think we could list in 3 months. That is backwards. The decluttering doesn't tell you when to list. The list date, that tells you when to declutter. So the window that I've seen work for families is 12 to 18 months before listing. Not because that's how long the sorting out takes. Most people, they could do the sorting out in 6 weeks if they had to. It's because the bigger decisions, they take that long. The conversations with the adult kids about heirlooms, the donation runs, the logistics of getting the stuff to those adult kids or wherever it needs to go, the mental bandwidth to just do it without consuming your life. 6 weeks before listing, that is panic mode. 12 to 18 months, though, that's your timeline. That's process. The math, it's the same. The experience, though, it's night and day. Now, point number 3, action number 3, this is the system itself. And this is where I think Linda's 3-mistake framing, where it's genius, really. But it doesn't tell you how to actually sort. So here's what you do. You sort by the timeline of the decision, not by category. Most people group their stuff by what it is. The kitchen pile, the clothes pile, the garage pile. That's not the sort that actually matters. The sort that matters is when the decisions need to be made. So some stuff is a now decision. It goes today. No tears, no story, no nothing. It just goes. And then some stuff, that is a soon decision, and it needs a conversation with the spouse or the kids, but it's coming. And then some stuff is the someday decision. So this is the real sentimental things that you're just not ready to emotionally part with yet. And forcing the decision today, it's probably just going to create delay and it's going to create pain. So fair enough. But 3 boxes, 3 ideas. Now, soon, and someday. The someday box has a return date, usually 3 months out. And if you haven't reached for it, the decision's already been made for you. Meaning, if you didn't go look for it, it's just stuff in a box. That's the system. And here's the thing. The system only works once you've answered the time question. The boxes, they mean nothing if you don't know when you're moving, which is why the next move is where most people end up freezing, because they realize they've been talking about decluttering when they should have been talking about something else. Number 4, action number 4, this is the conversations. Linda mentioned spouse standoffs and kids who suddenly care in her letter. And she's right. These are real conversations that happen and that they come up, the family dynamics. Now, the question is when these conversations should happen. So most people, they have the conversations late, after the listing decision, and after they've already pictured themselves in the new place. And by then, every conversation feels like a referendum on a decision that's already been made, which was when the fights happen. Have the conversations early. And if you welcome the inputs, state it. And if you don't, have your boundary. 12 months out, not 3 months out. Not we're moving and here's what we need from you. It probably sounds a little more like we're starting to think about it. What's important to you? What from this house do you want to be sure that stays in the family? What do you want first dibs on? That depends on your relationships, how you want to approach this. You'd be amazed at how different the answer is when you ask early versus when you ask late. So early, people are honest. Late, they get defensive. Same family, same china cabinet, completely different conversation. Here is step number 5, action number 5. And this is where the wealth side, it quietly enters the picture. So get the equity number on paper. How much is your home worth if you're actually taking steps towards downsizing for the purpose of relocation? Don't go to Zillow for the estimate. Not a I think the house is worth 500,000 because that's what my neighbor got down the street. This needs to be a real comparative market analysis. And you talk to a local real estate professional for that. Book time on my calendar. I will connect you with one in your area. I do interviews for folks every single day and connect them. So that a way I know that there's a strategy first approach for helping you achieve your goals. Now, this could be a pre-listing appraisal. They would come in, they would look at it, and they give you an honest assessment of what they would sell or recommend to sell the home for. This could also be a refinance valuation if you've done one recently and it was done by a professional appraiser. But the number has to be real. And the reason this matters is that almost every downsizing decision after this one, what you can afford in the new place, whether you can pay cash, whether you'll need a bridge loan, whether the move actually costs you in net dollars. Every one of those decisions, they run off this single number. And running it on a guess is how a planned downsize becomes a forced refinance 2 years later because we got into something that was unaffordable. Your emergency fund was depleted. Things that we can avoid with the right planning today. We want to avoid regret. So get the number, write it down, and that's the move. Now, number 6, this is talk to a CPA about the capital gains exclusions before you list. Not after, but before. And here's a quick refresher. There's a federal exclusion that lets a single homeowner shield up to $250,000 of capital gains on the sale of a primary residence. For a married couple, it's $500,000. And remember, these are capital gains, not what you paid for the home. It's the increase in value from what you paid to what you sell it for, minus all the costs and the fees. But there are rules with this. It's 2 of the last 5 years you had to have lived in that home. State level rules, those might exist on top of that. So if you've owned the house for 35 years and the gain is north of 500,000, which is more common than people think, the average amount of equity, average today is 300,000, a little over $300,000. And so again, having $500,000 or more is not uncommon. You don't want to find out that you have a tax bill at the closing. That's too late to do anything about it. Call the CPA, do some real planning beforehand, before you list. Again, this is part of the purposeful decisions mantra that I always talk about. The CPA that you have, or one that I can introduce you to, that hour call is going to be worth its weight in gold. Do it before you list, not after. And then here's action number 7. Sequence the sell-buy decision on your timeline and your risk tolerance. This is the one that I see go wrong most often. So people wait for the perfect market. The timeline runs out, or they panic buy the next place because they read a headline about rates. Look, you are making a multi-year decision. Rates will change over time. And when I say multi-year, I'm saying at least 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Like either way, you're letting somebody else's clock decide your move. The right sequence, that depends on 3 things: where the equity is, where the new place needs to be, and how much disruption of your life that you can handle. Some families need to sell first and then rent for 6 months. Some can carry both for a window of time, meaning both mortgages. And some need to buy first because the inventory in the new market, it's thin. It's just not there. There's no universal right answer. There's only the right answer for your timeline and your situation and your risk tolerance. The market will do what it does. Your move date is yours to defend. Don't trade your timeline for somebody else's prediction. Now, the next step, if you've been thinking about downsizing, even if it's just a rumbling in the background, pick that date. This week, write it down. Somewhere that you're going to see it, somewhere that you can plan against. Then look at that calendar and count backwards 12 to 18 months. That's where your decluttering window opens, ideally. Sometimes we don't get that opportunity, and it's still very possible. Don't let that stop you. Now you've got a system that we've just walked through, and those day-to-day moves, they actually have somewhere to land, the moving of stuff, right? And then here's a bonus tip. And as you are going through this system, again, your 3 boxes, the now, soon, someday, there's other stuff that doesn't really fit into that, or you need a decision now. So how do you make those decisions? Well, ultimately, there's 4 things that you should tag on top of these, and that's gonna be, "I'm gonna keep this, I know I'm gonna keep it," and then you're gonna put it into one of those 3 boxes. You're gonna trash it. Okay, so it's not gonna stay in those 3 boxes, you actually trash it, and then you could sell it, meaning it has no sentimental value to you. It's not, there's no real decision there. You just need a place to put it, and it has value. Or you're going to donate it, right? So 4 locations. The 3 box system helps with the sentimental dilemmas, if you will. This other system, these 4 destinations, either keep it, sell it, donate it, or trash it. That gives you some other destinations for the stuff that you've accumulated, right? The things that you don't have a sentimental attachment to. There you go. Now let's move on to the next point. Friends, going through these transitions, they are difficult. If you have a downsizing decision to make and you think that you might need some help, let's talk. Look in the caption below, book a free call, check out the resources that are there. We'll send you some simple exercises as well. So that way you can hit the ground running on our phone call, or we'll be able to figure things out a little quicker together when what you actually need and who you need it from. And look, in this world that we're in, we get better by having actual real conversations. Iron sharpens iron. There's no substitute for someone who's actually been through this, who's watched it, who guides others through it every single day, and they can help you see what you're not seeing. That's what the call is all about, and that's what I love doing for other people. I'm Weldon Hobbs, and when we're making big decisions, we start with your life goal, we optimize it for wealth, and then we focus on the real estate. Remember, good decisions, they start with good information, and I'll see you in the next one.